Welcome to Books and Storytime by MyBookSummary.com. Let's explore. Waiting in Hope. In a hidden, quiet village nestled deep in the woods, there stood an old house that everyone avoided. Its ivy-covered walls and dusty windows made it look haunted, and the villagers whispered that it was haunted by a ghost. But the truth was even more touching. A mother named Mrs. Grace Andrews had spent years waiting there. Long ago, this house was lively, filled with laughter and warmth. Mrs. Grace, a gentle and loving woman, lived there with her only son, Charlie. Though they were poor, their hearts were rich with happiness. Charlie was an adventurous child who loved exploring the woods and listening to his mother's bedtime stories of knights, magical forests, and hidden treasures. Every night, he'd fall asleep with a smile, dreaming of his mother's tales. As Charlie grew, his dreams grew too. He longed to go to the city, find a job, and make a better life for his mother. Although Mrs. Grace was proud of him, she was also deeply worried. She knew the city was far away and feared it could change him. But she didn't want to hold him back. One day, he would have to find his own way. One cool autumn morning, Charlie told his mother he was leaving for the city. His eyes sparkled with excitement, but Mrs. Grace could only smile through her tears. She hugged him tightly, packed his things, and whispered, "Come back soon, my boy." Charlie promised, and with one last wave, he disappeared down the forest path. Mrs. Grace waited by the window every day, hoping for his return. She cooked his favorite meals, kept his room tidy, and knitted scarves for him as winter came. Yet Charlie didn't come back. Days turned into months and months into years. Mrs. Grace's hair turned gray, and her body grew frail, but her hope never faded. She always believed he would come home one day. The villagers noticed her loneliness and would sometimes bring food or offer company. But Mrs. Grace was always distant, focused only on the thought of her son's return. Over time, her health weakened, and the villagers grew concerned. Some offered to take her into their homes, but she always declined. "I have to stay here," she'd say. "Charlie needs to know where to find me." One stormy night, as the rain poured and the wind howled, Mrs. Grace sat by the window as usual. This night felt different, filled with an odd calmness. Suddenly, there was a gentle knock on the door. Her heart raced. Could it be Charlie? She rushed to open it but found only rain and silence outside. Disappointed, she closed the door. But just as she was about to walk away, she heard a soft whisper, "Mother, I'm here." Her heart skipped a beat, and though she saw no one, she felt a warmth that filled her soul. She knew, deep down, that her son had come home in spirit, if not in body. The next morning, the villagers came to check on her and found her peacefully resting in her rocking chair, a small smile on her face. She had passed away in her sleep, with a scarf she had knitted for Charlie clutched gently in her hand. The villagers buried her with love and respect, knowing she had finally found peace. After her passing, something strange began to happen. At night, a soft light would glow from her house, and some villagers claimed to hear a gentle lullaby coming from within. A curious young boy once dared to knock on the door, stepping inside to find everything in place. In the dim light, he thought he saw a faint figure in the rocking chair, softly singing. "Don't be afraid, child," a voice whispered. "I'm just waiting for my son. He'll be home soon." The boy ran back to the village, and from then on, no one disturbed the house. They believed that Mrs. Grace's spirit lingered, waiting for the reunion she had always dreamed of. As years went by, the village grew and changed, but the tale of Mrs. Grace and Charlie lived on. A story of endless love, hope, and the strength of a mother's heart. Stay tuned for more enlightening content. Head over to www.mybooksummary.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share the magic with friends. And let's grow together through the power of books and interesting stories.